In the last lecture, we saw how to run our app on the iOS simulator. All you need is Xcode installed. Now let's run it on an iPhone. And chances are that even if you have an iPhone connected to your device, that if you run npm run iOS, it will just spin up your simulator again. So how can you work around that then? Well, the simple answer is you start Xcode, which you installed anyways. In your React Native project, you got this iOS folder, and there you find your Xcode project. You can simply double click on it with Xcode installed, and it will unsurprisingly launch Xcode. Now, once you open the project in Xcode, you can simply choose your device up there in the dropdown. There you should see your attached device, and then you press the play button to launch it. You can enable developer mode on this Mac if you don't have that already. What this will now do is it will now take this project and basically rebuild it, which it can. React Native or our workflow already built it. Now it will simply recompile it, which should finish without any real errors preventing it from succeeding. You may ignore any warnings or errors you get here on the left. As long as it finishes, everything is all right. And you will actually see a lot of warnings, as you can see. This first build can take a bit longer, by the way. And here it now failed. Now you see the error here on the left, code signing error, signing failed. Now you need to sign your apps, which basically means confirm that you are who you pretend to be, for your build to finish successfully. And for that you need an iOS developer account. So you can click add account here, and then you can sign in with your Apple ID and see if you do have a developer account registered for this. No paid account is required for this though, a normal developer account does it. Once you did add your team here, you can pick it from the drop-down. This will now automatically create a certificate and sign your app. Now you may also restart Xcode just to be safe, because sometimes it hangs after you added this new team and it still won't build successfully, even though everything is set up correctly. So after this, finally make sure your device is selected here and hit this play button again. Now, as a side note, whilst this is rebuilding, you of course notice that this wasn't required for running it on a simulator. So this is really only required if you want to run it on a real device, even if that is your own one. With that, the build should succeed, and it should add your application with this dummy icon to your device and automatically launch it. You can now also see this debug console here, which would throw any errors, useful for debugging. I'll come back to that later in the course. And you now see your application run on a real device. So with that, we saw all four options: running the application on an Android and iOS simulator and on an Android and iOS real device. With that, a lot of setup was done, but that is super important for really testing our application and seeing it run as it will run in the end. Now what I will do for the rest of the course is I mainly will use the Android and iOS simulators, and we'll now dive back into the code and learn more about the built-in components, how to use them, what they do, and how to build our own components, and finally how to build an app.